Hi, I'm Chayale.
Hi, I'm Hindi. Welcome to your Relationshift. Join in our conversation where we explore
The nuance and beauty of Tura's perspective on relationships.
Hi, everybody.
Hey.
So exciting. Today is episode 1 of season 2.
Season 2. Can you believe we have a season 2?
Yes, season 2. Yeah,
We're
it's pretty
legit.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the theme of season 2 is we're going to, God willing, be covering topics, which is so much fun. Now we feel like our listeners, our audience has somewhat of an idea of the principles. And so hopefully have the language to understand what coaching looks like and how we look at different situations from a relationship lens as opposed to standard marriage advice.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's such a great way to learn learn about the principles as they integrate into very specific scenarios and experiences. So
Right.
we're really excited.
Yeah. Yeah. And as always, it's just a conversation, right? This is not an actual coaching session. And everyone has to have their own unique experience when it comes to a broader topic like what we're bringing here. So if it doesn't relate exactly to your experience or there are parts of it that you feel don't apply, again, it's just a podcast. But I know for myself that these topics, many of them were something that I struggled with. And even just having some of the ideas or how we could take the principles and apply them would have been tremendously helpful in the situation.
Yeah. Yeah. So very important to remember that it's just a podcast and not a coaching session.
Yeah. And if you need coaching, go for it.
Yes,
We have that available.
we recommend it.
Right. Daily affirmation. I could go for coaching today.
Yeah,
um,
actually, a client shared with me that like she's gonna start something new, something challenging that she's always wanted to do, and she's setting herself up for success by telling herself that she will remain in coaching through this process.
mm,
Like that was her sort of like preparation for taking on a new challenge in her life,
wow.
in her growth. And she was like, I know that I'll have coaching. And then like that's her her rock to lean on,
Mm.
which was really cool. And that she's giving that to herself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's talk about today. Today,
Do
our
it.
topic is drumroll birthdays and anniversaries.
Mm.
Did everyone just feel that in their stomach? Like, oh,
Help.
right? Like, oh, how did she know? I hate my birthday. Um, this last anniversary was the worst, right? Um, yeah, so this is a very, very common conversation to have during coaching. So we're going to talk about it and see if we could cover some pieces over there.
Yeah. So if your stomach turned or the butterfly started fluttering, we see you. Why are birthdays so hard? Why do they get harder when we're married?
Mm,
Why anniversary is so hard? And yeah, why do we feel so sensitive about it, and almost afraid of it and anxious about the idea of having a birthday and what that's going to look like and feel like? So yeah, I guess like what's the I guess let's start with maybe the wrong way to do a birthday or the pre-relationship birthday. um a pre-ownership, pre-receptive birthday.
yeah. Well, I wonder if people are even aware of the fact that there is ownership to one's birthday or receptivity to one's birthday. Like most women will say, no, I'm pretty receptive. Like I'm waiting for something to happen and nothing ever happened.
Hmm.
Um, but it's interesting to discuss that. Like, what does that look like? Well, let's just hash it all out. Like all the things we've heard, that could go wrong. and then give out some pointers.
Yeah. So you'll have a woman who her husband like says happy birthday, and
Mm,
that's like the extent of it. Um, and let's say for her, she is now really hurt, really frustrated, really upset. Um, she dropped the hints. She left people do that thing where like they talk to the phone so that like the algorithm sends you know how like your phone is listening or your computer's listening, and like if you like say things into the phone or the computer, then the algorithm is going to send. So you'll always see women doing like the week before my birthday talking to my husband's phone, saying all the things that I want, so that his algorithm has like the bags and the shoes and the vacation, whatever it is that she wants. um and I think, like, for me, I would say the key word in this conversation is expectation.
mm,
A person is coming to their birthday or anniversary with some sort of expectation. And it could be like quite heavy or quite big or quite specific.
mm,
Um, what that expectation is of how they want to slash should be celebrated by the people around them, starting with their husband. And when their husband doesn't show up, sort of to that occasion, he doesn't rise to the occasion and deliver this ultimate celebration, festive birthday for his wife. So now she's left feeling hurt, questioning their relationship, questioning herself, questioning her husband, um, experiencing a lot of doubt and sadness and insecurity. And she's had this very bad birthday.
mm.
Um, my husband doesn't love me. He doesn't care about me. He doesn't think about, he didn't think about it. She was very last minute, like a lot
Just
of
can't get his act together.
back together.
Right. So like there's like those excuses that we make for him to shield the hurt because the hurt is so painful. But what I'm hearing from you is um, every woman to varying degrees has some sort of vision or some sort of expectation from her birthday. And whether it could literally just be like, if he just got me flowers, I would be happy. If he just wrote a card, I would be happy. Um, to like, I need him to take me to Australia, right? Like it could be varying degrees of expectation. Um, Even just like the simplest expectation, or it's in ways like the deepest expectation of this is his opportunity to celebrate me, which I think is a pretty standard expectation from our birthday because it's just this like wonderful day all about you. That in ways also could not serve her because there's there just is like a built-in expectation there that
Like,
is a recipe for a lot of pain.
isn't this my husband's favorite day of the year because it's the year that I was born? So like he should just, be jumping out of bed on the day of my birthday. It's really a holiday for him because he's just, and the light in his life. So
You are, right?
but
Like you are.
right, obviously you are, but just in terms of like how he should be experiencing it that he should be experiencing that in a very tangible and expressed way.
Right. Right.
Also, I think a lot of women maybe might relate to this, that they very actively celebrate their husbands' birthdays
Mm,
to sort of teach, show, establish a like performance around a birthday. So like, I mean, I let's say I know a woman who was like spending 6 months preparing her husband's 30th birthday. Um, and she would make jokes like, he better do the same thing for me. Um, and there was a piece where sometimes we do that. We give what we want to get.
right.
Um, and that could happen a lot around birthdays as
Right.
well.
I also wonder, agreed. And I also wonder if there's also sometimes like this subconscious underpinnings of this is how I was raised. So like
Mm.
this is my standard. My family celebrates birthdays. I've heard that a lot. Like his family doesn't really do anything for birthdays, but my family really does. And this is and kind of like the value thing. Like this is a value for me to celebrate my birthday, to celebrate my kid's birthday. It's important. It's something that I want our children to have. And so then
Mm.
there's like kind of like a value expectation connected to it. And that's really hard too, because I could definitely hear that. That's beautiful. And by the way, for the women out there who made a big deal about her husband's 30th birthday, like not trying to villainize that, God forbid, or like say that that was a control piece. Maybe there was a little bit of that, but the idea is also like that's so generous, right? That's so beautiful that she wants to celebrate him. That's so much kindness, right? Like I hear the chesed, a lot of
Mm.
generosity, a lot of like big thinking, um, really wanting to celebrate him. That's beautiful. And it's extra, right? It is. It's big. Um, And I think that's an important piece to remember. Like she voluntarily decided to do something like that for him in ways sometimes when a woman steps into that, not always, but it could be sometimes when she does, it becomes very masculine, that experience, because she's giving this to him and she's in ways running herself ragged, making this all happen, working on it for 6 months in advance. And so, in ways, it could also not serve her, not just because she's building up expectations around him celebrating her, but also just like the efforts that it takes for a woman to step into being mashpia, it also is hard. It
Yeah.
takes a
Yeah.
toll.
There could be, yeah,
Yeah,
that could bring resentment. So that's something to pay attention to.
right,
How strongly do you desire to do this?
right.
And yeah, I think that the piece about like your family, your value system around birthdays, like intensifies it because then it also becomes like it could be a judgment thing, right? Like, what, you don't celebrate birthdays? Like, how could you, like, oh my gosh, like you grew up in a house where they didn't like make a big deal about birthdays? Like that sounds like that's like almost a trauma, right? Like, oh my, I can't believe that. Like that could be very heavy with judgment. Like it could really come on strong. Like, what, when we'll never do that? Like our family is not going to be like that. No, it's so important. Like we have to. Um, and again, that creates obviously like a lot of tension, a lot of pressure. Like then there's this whole like this whole burden that we have this big value and we have to make sure it's a lot of heaviness there.
Hmm. Yeah. Also, anytime we create a lot of difference between me and him, I think it generates a lot of fear for a woman. Like we spoke about it a long time ago in the fear episode, but anything different is scary.
Mm,
So that fear causes you to try to control, and then there's like a lot of energy there. So yeah, this one definitely is loaded when it comes to my family, his family. By the way, it could also be the other way around with a woman who her family did not celebrate her birthday, and then she walks into the marriage wanting the opposite for her family, for
mm,
herself,
mm.
and like wanting her husband to be on board with that. And then there's a lot of energy around it or expectation or entitlement around it. Like finally I have someone in my life who's going to celebrate me because my family never did and my friends never did. And finally I'm married to someone who loves me, right? And will. And
Yeah,
so then there's like a lot of intense energy there.
yeah, there's like this big, I come in with this big void and I'm waiting for my husband to fill it.
Right. Right. And then let's say that coupled with just let's say in general, the woman having a hard time receiving, let's say because she's super mashpia, she's very masculine just by default, or because she just doesn't, she's not like understanding of what it looks like to just be gracious and humble and receptive. So that coupled along with the big expectation around the birthday could really be her own undoing when it comes to actually finally getting to that birthday. So imagine, right, like all these expectations for whatever reason, and then getting to the birthday and her husband gives her like a set of shots, for their anniversary or for her birthday. And she's thinking, what? Right? Like it's so hard for her to receive that or to see value in that. So that's just an example, but like I've heard so many things, like the husband gives her something like, let's say, like a KitchenAid, or the husband gives her, I don't know, like something to protect herself with, like a pocket knife, or like something really practical that she could use, like a new vacuum. And then all the expectations and hopes pinned on the birthday, and then that being the present is so hard to swallow. What?
Devastation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then, and then there's also the history, right? You were talking about this.
You're saying the relationship history that they have of her like not being able to receive what he gives her. So
Yeah,
then,
just like the history of birthdays you've had and that build up of like year after year, you
yeah,
know?
it's like something you'll hear even like like maybe older couples will like joke about it. Like I'm thinking of what you're saying, like, and I'm thinking of someone that would be like, yeah, my husband likes buying me a lawnmower for my birthday, and it's one of those like men are dumb, don't get it
Mm,
esque jokes, like it's really about him. He's being selfish and like he wants a lawnmower. Like even that, like, oh, you wanted this, so my birthday. It's like it becomes uh, very hard for a woman to receive what her husband is bringing to her, and often a woman in the challenge of receiving will reject. It could even be like that was too much money, right? Like I've also heard
mm,
that. Like, so there's the woman who you didn't do enough, right? That's an item that we need for the house. That's not in the category of birthday presents. There's so many
right.
rules. It's very hard to get it right. Then there's the husband that spent too much. That's out of our budget. That was reckless. We can't afford that. What were you thinking? So and again, like you said, because we've discussed the idea of fear and control, and when we're lacking receptivity, the space becomes very, very, very narrow. And it's almost impossible, I want to say, probably impossible for a man to land in the exact right spot.
Right.
Um, so it's a recipe for failure, for hurt, for frustration on both ends. Um, And then there's obviously, let's say going forward, if a man's had a series of failed birthdays, then the motivation to continue is obviously going to be lost. And also sometimes, a person says like, if what I'm giving you is really hurting you, then as somebody who doesn't want to hurt you, like I'm safer not giving you. Um, so yeah, either way, you can be giving too much, you can be giving too little, you gave it in the wrong way, it didn't feel personal. um you wrote a note but it wasn't
On stationery.
on stationery.
A lot of limited perspective, right? Like
Scarcity mindset.
scarcity mindset. So like a lot of buts it could have. Yeah, I hear that, which is so painful to be in that position.
And one more piece is some people, meaning outside of their husband or how they're being celebrated, have a difficulty with their birthdays, meaning things come up for people emotionally around their birthdays. um, Maybe the age, maybe the idea of aging, if it's a particular number that they're afraid of, like turning a certain number. So that could be, like we said, there's a history with birthdays. So, like maybe how their family did or didn't celebrate brings up feelings, strong feelings, friends, memories from school, jealousy about, how some people were celebrated more than others, popularity, all these things. So, a person could also be facing a lot of their own inner turmoil about this day arriving and what it carries emotionally for them.
Yeah. Irrespective of the relationship, just like within themselves. I've heard that a lot, like especially around the 30th. I guess, let's say we're talking about the younger demographic, but um, approaching the 30th is a big one, approaching 50th is a big one. So, like, let's say approaching the 30th and feeling like I should I should have certain things by this time. I should
Mm.
have a certain amount of kids. I should own my own home. I should um, have a certain like settledness in the community. Just like expectations of oneself
Yeah.
at that point, and then entering into the day with all of that here um, also contributes to how receptive she is in the dynamic between her and her husband and how
Right.
she feels at the end of her birthday. Yeah.
Right. Right.
Whether
Yeah.
she's conscious to this or not, by the way, like this could be a very subconscious experience.
Yeah. Well, I birthdays are typically introspective for a lot of
Mm,
people, and
hmm.
that could carry a lot.
Sure, sure. And the same thing with, yeah, with husbands. Like I've also heard that on the men's side too. There's just like, I remember hearing someone processing his birthday and like, I can't believe I didn't finish Shas by this time. I can't believe I didn't, or I don't have this amount of kids by this time. There's just a lot that could come up. So to shift into like what to do about it, that's something to take ownership over, right? To
Yeah.
really think about, I think in advance of your birthday, to think about what's coming up for you.
Okay. So we hashed out the challenges, some of them,
Yeah.
and maybe an audience member has a unique challenge that we didn't mention. But whatever it is, right? Whatever's coming up for you internally, and probably there's both internally on yourself, and then whatever you're experiencing on a relationship level around your birthday. And we know that the control, the fear, the hinting, managing, victimizing, self pity, right? All of
Mhm.
that. Most of us have traveled that path and know what it has to offer and doesn't have to offer. Um, so what are our options if we want to do this in a empowered, feminine, healthy way?
Yeah.
So what would you say, like, where do we start? Start us off. Like, my birthday's in, I don't know, my birthday's in 2 weeks. It's not, but let's say it was. And yeah, I've had a bad experience up until this point. So what can I do?
First of all, you're already winning because you're thinking about it in advance, and I think that's amazing. Like that's using your Bini Sarah to analyze the situation, to think more deeply into this, and say, I want to be intentional about this instead of just like, oh, I hate my birthday and like let it just pass me by. Right? It's like that's like a very victim passive way to experience this. So being intentional and conscious about it is already amazing.
Mm,
Um, Speaking to friends, like hashing it out, just like even just like speaking it out can help. Bring up all the past traumas, bring up
mm.
all the expectations, get it all out of you. And then, which is I think the best part, is now you could come to what do I want? Like, what do I actually want around my birthday, my anniversary? What do I want to experience? What do I want to feel? What do I want that to look like practically? Not to demand of him, but like what is the vision? Um, and see if there's some way to create that instead of waiting for somebody else to create that for you.
Yeah. So that would be like setting an intention. Like, what does my birthday even mean to me? What is the day about for me? I feel like when we get into that mode, we could bring in also the spirituality of it. Like, it is a meaningful day. It is an important day and it is a special day. And the first person to acknowledge that and own that is going to be me.
Mm,
It's a day for me to first and foremost, like, celebrate myself. It could be about it could be a day about my essential value. Um, and then so once we've taken it back, like, you're taking it back into your own hands, so that's like the ownership, right? Like, the success of my birthday does not exist outside of me. The success of my birthday, the enjoyment of my birthday, the celebration of my birthday is inside. It's an internal experience.
mm,
So that's already obviously like I mean, that's already a 180 from where you were before. Like, that's the biggest shift, like out of the victimhood into the ownership, right? Like, what am I? Where am I? Who am I? What is this going to be for me? Um, yeah. Um, what other principles might help?
I'm just like thinking practically. I just think it's such an interesting thing that the Rebbe used to say, you should make a farbrengen for yourself. Like, isn't that just such a prime example of being introspective and then creating something for yourself? Not like the dictum is not someone should make a farbrengen for you, like and make a party for you. No, no, no. Make that very conscious, growth oriented experience for yourself.
Mm.
Connect with the people who you think are important in your life, who help support you to be the person who you are, and like relate to them, connect with them, go there. I just think it's such a practical tool um,
Yeah,
that the Rebbe gifted. No,
it's very cool to actually think of that, like the 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 guidance that the Rebbe gave us on celebrating our birthday is very much an ownership like model.
yeah,
There's also, yeah, there's introspection, there's learning, there's giving charity, like step into your day, like own your day. Um and yeah, that's very, and there's a very tangible, there's a very tangible way to do that,
yeah, which is
including
beautiful.
a celebration. Yeah.
Right, right. But I also like that it really connects you to like what you were saying, like the spiritual side of the day, which is supposed to be a celebration of your nefesh kiss, like your godly soul, your godly experience, how Hashem wants you in this world. And another birthday has passed. You still have so much to accomplish, as opposed to what I do think a lot of people kind of connect a birthday with is maybe the Nefesh Bahamas experience or perspective, which is like I should be celebrated, which sounds could be a little bit ego oriented instead of it being really godly soul oriented. I think
Yeah. Yeah.
like my accomplishments should be spoken about, and how much I contribute to the world should be spoken about, and everyone should be celebrating how great I am, as opposed to the humble piece. Do you hear me?
Yeah, I totally hear that. I think even the idea that we need validation from other people is very much a animal soul vibe. Like, my worth is as it is experienced by others, or confirmed by others, or validated by others, or also by my achievement, like by my wealth status, or like any of those types of more external things. Whereas if we're looking at it from a godly soul perspective, my worth is that I'm here, um, and that I have a very unique mission. Like, I'm here with purpose. Um, and that's not something that needs to is dependent on others. Knowing or not knowing, or saying or not saying, or um, yeah, it's just the whole lens of like from God's perspective versus from like my human, scared, vulnerable, like insecure state.
Right, right. So it's interesting. I was just speaking about this with someone, and I think it still is important, obviously, to bring our human selves to our experience. Meaning, yes, I look at essential value because this is the principle we're talking about right at this very moment, which is like we should look at our birthday from the perspective of neshama, of a godly orientation, and it's also important that we are thanked and acknowledged and seen for who we are and what we do. And I think that's also a part of the birthday, right? So, like, where you are supposed to be reflecting on the past year, it's not just about beating yourself up. Like, I think it also, there's an element of look how much I have accomplished, look how much I have done, acknowledging yourself and the greatness that you are, and also looking forward and seeing what I want to accomplish and what I want to be also for this coming year. But that's part of like this whole reflective experience. It's also acknowledging yourself, which is more of like a nefesh Bahamas experience, more of a human experience to like bring your your nefesh Bahamas to see its essential value.
Yeah,
And that's part of it.
100%. It's also fine to get gifts, and meaning it's not like what you're saying. It's a your nefesh Bahamas and your nefesh Elokis are both important players. They're both having a birthday together. Um, just the nefesh Bahamas is we're saying like lead with the nefesh Elokis. That's going to take away like the stress, the victimness. There's lead with the essential value, and let that be. We come to our humanness from our God awareness, bring that to the humanness, create harmony between the two of them.
Right. So let's get practical again. So what does that look like? So leading with my nefesh Elokis, with my essential values. So first of all, just like that reset of this birthday is not the litmus test for how beloved I am in this world, or how much I matter, or how much people love me. Like, I am essentially valuable. That's an important way to just reset in your 2 weeks in advance
Mhm.
prep for your birthday, to just come at it with, I don't want to have all those expectations or that this is the test for my life, but instead, there's a lot of intention that I want from this birthday. Um, and I want it to be a deeply connecting experience, me with myself.
Yeah, yeah, that's great.
Beautiful.
And then we could also just bring it back to the relationship. First of all, obviously, when you're in that place, like I think, and in my experience, in my client's experience, as soon as a person stops themselves, like does that pause to take ownership, to step out of that victimhood, things flow a lot smoother on every
Mhm.
level from that point, because I'm not waiting. Waiting is always a sign of being in a victim mode. I'm not waiting. I'm owning. Um, and then how do I want to approach my husband? I want to approach my husband with trust the connection,
Mm,
and with space and value, receptivity. So I trust that my husband values me. I trust that my husband appreciates me. The whole like status of our relationship is not in the balance here. Um, Everybody's different. Like we said, everyone has different experience around birthdays. Different birthdays. Everyone has different like minhagim, like different customs around birthdays. So it doesn't mean anything about your marriage if your husband's not like the birthday guy. Some
mm,
are, some aren't, like just
mhm,
different styles. So it's not my whole relationship hanging in the balance. Um, I can trust that my husband values me and loves me and appreciates me and cares about me, and that can all be true, even if he's not amazing at birthdays or he buys
mhm,
the wrong present. I can also receive whatever he does bring to me. Like we spoke about, our ability to expand whatever we're getting, like receptivity takes anything and turns it into a moment of connection. So I could shrink it or I could expand it. I could get the vacuum cleaner, and that could be a shrinking experience, a painful experience, or that could be an experience of deep connection and growth and expansion. Um, so receive, go for it.
yeah, yeah, I love that. Meaning, even just being open to trying to receive this gift, whatever it is, even if it's not your ideal gift, um, opens up so much more opportunity. But even so, like, I know for myself, right? How much intention, or how much mulling I do when I'm giving a gift. And even if it's just for 5 minutes, and he just taps a few buttons and buys something for you on Amazon, it doesn't matter. There was something in his intention and wanting to please you and thinking that maybe this was something practical that you would use every day. There's some value there, right? So even if it's, let's say, a vacuum, he's so excited to get you something that will make you feel loved every day because you use it twice a day, as opposed to like a stunning watch that you can't walk out of the house in because it's too nice. Um, right? There's always something to receive, always.
Always something to
So
receive,
so
yeah.
if you could find that thing, and let yourself relax into that a little bit, maybe you don't know, you might end up loving it and deeply appreciating it. And then what that could do for your relationship and your mashpia couple dynamic is tremendous.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
Relax. I like the word relax.
that's good.
Like, just relax. Relax. Pull out, you could, that also pulls into the abundance mindset. Like, people get presents not on their birthdays also. It's not like the only time that your husband will ever give you something, or you will ever get something, or like, again, we're in that space of like stress when we feel like, okay, this is the only gift I'm getting the whole year, so like it better be perfect. Just relax.
Mm,
Like, all so many principles can help you, like ownership, trust the connection, abundance, receptivity. Like, imagine bringing all those pieces to the table. What like that that's a meaningful experience right there. Like, if you pulled in 5 or 6 principles to celebrate your birthday, I think
mm.
that's a pretty great birthday.
That's a win.
That's a
That is
a
a win for
winning.
the win. Wow. Yeah, it's huge. That's tremendous. And think about how empowering that is, right? To have had like a string of unfulfilling or like painful birthdays, and then to approach the coming birthday with this intention, with um, a humbleness and openness to receive, and trusting what he gives or doesn't give, and having the abundance to not have the buts attached to it. That's such an internal shift, and stepping into something so much greater than was. I don't know, it just sounds so empowering.
Yeah, it's a great birthday gift to yourself.
Mm,
Okay.
really beautiful. And a gift to your kids, by the way.
Oh,
Because
yes.
as much as you think they don't see everything, it's easy for them to pick up on these things, especially the older kids. And how gorgeous is that to teach your older daughters or even to teach your sons? Like, there's so much to just celebrate in the relationship itself.
Yeah, I
Um,
think I think most people, like, when they think back to their childhood, probably have memories around their parents celebrating or not celebrating their own birthdays, or like a certain mood that came over their parents around their birthdays,
Anniversary, yeah,
anniversary, and like how to, yeah, like you said, bring a different energy to the whole experience.
right. And sometimes I find like people are very attached to the day. Like
Mm,
I've definitely coached people around this where like let's say the husband is even taking her away on a trip just themselves, but it's like 3 days after her birthday, and just coming to terms with that. Which, like, she could see the value in him doing this. It just happened to be that Sunday was a better day than Wednesday, smack in the middle of the week. So he doesn't have to take off a day of work. But just like the attachment of the day. And I don't know, I guess I have found for myself that instead of attaching so much importance to my actual birthday, um, celebrating the abundance of our connection every day. Like, every day could be my birthday. Every day I'm receiving something from my husband. And there's so much to celebrate in just our relationship. And the more that I celebrate that, um, the more I experience what it truly feels like to be right, loved. Like, well, this is what everyone wants. They just want to be celebrated and loved on their birthday. Why limit it to that one day? Like, how about let's step into 365 birthdays a year?
yeah, I think
How cool
that's
would that be?
yeah, I think it's a very powerful point. Like, not hanging everything on a day, even from a practical perspective. Like, there's always, it's one day. There's only so much that could happen in a day. Days don't always fall out at the best time. And yeah, like, being open to seeing that and experiencing that, like, again, not in such a tight and narrow space that it's all impossible to get into. And like the he'll prove his love to me by somehow contorting himself into this tiny, narrow, impossible space to fit into. So yeah, I think that's. I'm glad you brought that one up.
Yeah. That's a vision, right? Let's step
Every
into that
day
one.
is birthday.
Every day is my birthday. Every day is my anniversary. I
Yeah.
have 2 every day. Okay, so this is birthdays and anniversaries. I want to open up the floor for all of your commentary. You could always like this episode. You could share your commentary below, and we love to keep the conversation going because it's a big one.
Yeah. Please tell us your stories, your birthday stories, your wins, your challenges, your anniversary wins and challenges, and we can share it with the audience, some real live birthday, anniversary wins and challenges.
Yeah, we really grow from each other's stories. I know I do. So we'd love to hear.
Yeah. Happy birthday.
Yeah, happy anniversary.
We would love to hear your feedback, thoughts, and questions.
Please leave a comment below or email us at yourrelationship@gmail.com.
Looking forward to connecting with you.
See you next time.